You know, the Quran dedicates an entire chapter to just one woman, Maryam, or, as you might know her, Mary. It tells her complete story, from even before she was born all the way to the miraculous moment that would define her legacy. It's such a powerful narrative of faith, of trial, and of divine honor, and we're about to dive into the key moments of her incredible journey. Right from the get-go, the story makes her unique status crystal clear. And this isn't just some nice compliment, right? This is a divine declaration, delivered by angels directly from God. This one verse really sets the stage for everything that follows. It tells us that we're about to witness the journey of someone truly, truly exceptional. So, where does a story like this even begin? Well, interestingly, it's not with Mary herself. It actually starts with her mother in a moment of really profound devotion. And what's just remarkable is that Mary's life was dedicated to God before she was even born. Think about that. Her mother, the wife of Imran, makes this incredibly solemn vow, promising her unborn child entirely to the service of the sanctuary. It's this huge act of faith that God hears and accepts. So when the baby is born, and it's a girl, her mother names her Maryam. And right away, she prays for her protection. And the Quran tells us God accepted her with what it calls good acceptance and caused her to grow in a good manner. So her blessed path was really set from the moment she took her very first breath. So she grows up under the care of the prophet Zechariah, and she just completely dedicates herself to worship. And this is where we see the first signs, the first little hints that something is special about her. Whenever Zechariah would go into her prayer chamber, he'd find food there that he hadn't brought. And when he asked her, "Where did this come from?" she'd simply say, "It's from God." But this quiet life of devotion, it's about to be turned completely upside down by a single life-altering event. I mean, just imagine this scene for a second. Mary is in seclusion, totally alone. And then suddenly, this being appears before her in the form of a perfect man. The Quran calls it a spirit from God. And you can just imagine the shock of that encounter is immediate and profound. And her reaction? It tells you everything you need to know about her character. Before she even knows who or what this is, her very first instinct is to seek refuge in God and appeal to the stranger's own piety. It's such a powerful testament to her purity and her immediate reliance on her faith. Okay, so this conversation right here, this is the heart of it. The angel reveals his mission. He's there to give her news of a pure son. And Mary's response is just pure human logic. How is that possible? No man has ever touched me. And look, her question isn't about doubting God's power. It's a very human question, right? She just wants to understand how. But the angel's reply is just definitive. This isn't about human logic anymore. This is about divine will. It is easy for me, God says. This whole event is destined to be a sign, a mercy for all of humanity, and the decision has already been made. It is, like the Quran says, a matter already decreed. So the divine announcement is made. You'd think there would be a celebration, right? But no. What comes next is an immense and very lonely trial of faith. So now Mary is carrying this unbelievable secret all alone. As the pregnancy becomes obvious, she leaves her community and goes to a remote place. Then the physical pain of childbirth kicks in, and in her total isolation, she collapses at the base of a palm tree. And right here, in this moment, we get this just raw, human cry of despair. She's so overwhelmed by the physical pain and the sheer terror of the accusations she knows she's going to face, she cries out, wishing she had never even existed. This profound vulnerability is what makes what happens next so powerful. But it turns out she's not really alone. Just when she hits rock bottom, divine help arrives. A voice comforts her with these practical, compassionate instructions. She's given a stream of water for her thirst, ripe dates from the tree for her hunger, and a clear strategy for the confrontation that's coming, a vow of silence. She's being taken care of, physically and spiritually, getting ready for what's to come. Okay, so armed with this divine support, Mary now has to do something that seems absolutely unthinkable. She has to go back. She has to return to her people and face their judgment. And this is an act of just unbelievable courage. She walks right back into the community she ran from, carrying the very baby that is the source of all their suspicion. The confrontation is about to happen. And the reaction is, well, it's exactly what she must have feared. They accuse her of doing something terrible, unprecedented. They even bring up her family, oh, sister of Aaron, reminding her of her noble, pious background. They're basically saying, you come from such a good family, how could you do this? So with all these accusations flying at her, Mary says nothing. She honors that vow of silence and performs this simple, powerful act of faith. She just points to the baby. You can just imagine the scene, right? The confusion, the scorn. They're like, what? You want us to talk to a baby in a cradle? And then the miracle happens. The baby speaks, and his words are just profound. He doesn't just say, hey, my mom's innocent. No, he declares his entire mission. He affirms he's a servant of God, a prophet, and crucially, he declares he's been made dutiful to his mother, which completely clears her name. He speaks with the authority of a prophet, defending her and announcing his own purpose to the world. So this incredible miracle, it cements Mariam's place not just as some pious woman, but as a central figure in God's divine plan. The way the Quran describes her legacy is really important. It says she is among the qanitin, the devoutly obedient. And this isn't just, passive belief. It's talking about a state of constant, active devotion and unwavering faith in God's words, even when she was facing an impossible trial. And really, her whole story is summed up right here. The bottom line is, her defining virtues were her purity and her complete obedience. And because she embodied these qualities so perfectly, God transformed her and her son into what's called an ayah, a sign, a miracle, not just for her own people or her own time, but for all worlds, for all generations. And that really leaves us with something to think about. Her story is one of impossible circumstances met with unwavering faith. It's a story of deep, deep despair that's answered by divine mercy, and of false accusation that is silenced by a miracle. So the question for all of us is, what makes this ancient journey of devotion, of endurance, and finally of vindication such a timeless and powerful sign for us today?